Okay, let's see where we go today. Let's see what comes up in our discussion in our Krishna Gatha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nirvasesha Sunyavhari Pashtatari Satharine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Okay, welcome those that just joined, over Gaya and Anupama. Thank you for joining us. Where, as I just said, we're edging towards the end of these questions of Sudha Bhakti Chintamani. And we're on here, as far as I've got it correct, we are on this question here, 125. Recording in progress. Someone else is recording there. Okay, Hare Krishna. So is the taste, we all ready? Ready, steady, go. Okay. Is the taste experience in mature hearing about the transcendental subject the same as the taste of directly perceiving it? So is the taste of reading about Krishna's pastimes the same as actually taking part in Krishna's pastimes?
Who's taken part in Krishna's pastime to be able to compare it?
Was they saying who has taken part in Krishna's pastime?
Yeah, no one's taken part in directly Krishna's pastime to be able to compare with hearing.
The devotees have. There is many stories of devotees, you could say perfected devotees in their sadhak forms, going into trance for 3 days and taking part in the holy festival.
Yeah, remember the making sweet rice. Yes.
I was thinking of this group.
Thinking of?
Group.
Oh, yeah. All right. Really, yeah. Anyway, let's at least try and we have to try and understand it from a philosophical perspective, not an experiential perspective, unfortunately, unless someone out there has directly taken part in Krishna's pastimes in Govardhan Leela, and you've then heard about it. So in one sense, the nature, anyway, let's see. What do you think about this?
I think yes, because, when we were reading Venu Gita, and then all those pastimes, you kind of meditate on it, don't you? And like what we're studying now all the time, don't you think they taste better?
Well, yeah, so you're saying for sure there is a taste there, and it's quite extraordinary, and it's wonderful.
As well, Murli Prabhu, if we didn't have the taste, we wouldn't come and listen to it every week, day.
And
there is something, it just makes us, and I think as we're getting older, it's more mature in our Krishna consciousness. We appreciate more.
Yeah, become more purified and be able to better more relish Krishna's pastimes. So I think we're saying that there is, it is the same, is non-different to the qualified hearer of Krishna's pastimes. Yeah.
I mean, am I right in saying, Prabhu, that that Sankirtan is apparently the same as like being in like Krishna Leela?
Yeah, Goloka, Premadana Goloka Harinam Sankirtan. Yeah, it is the same.
Same, yeah.
Different. Here is that it's not different, which is quite amazing, really, that to hear about Krishna's pastimes is the same as being there. Yeah. And Maharaj gives an example. He gives the best evidence for this in how Lord Chaitanya fulfilled his promise or his purpose as an incarnation. So he appeared as Radharani to experience, appeared in the, let's get this right, he appeared to experience the love that Radharani has for Krishna. And he did that through hearing. He did that through hearing Krishna's kirtan. He did that through hearing Krishna's name, qualities, and pastimes. That's how he was able to relish the love that Radha has for him. So that's quite a good evidence there. Yeah. And as Maharaj also goes on to quote the pastime which comes in the Anchad Leela, where I'm tasting the nectar from Krishna's lips. Yeah, Lord Chaitanya and his associates are taking the maha-prasad from Jagannath Mahaprasad. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes into ecstasy and speaks like a Gopi or Radharani, tasting Krishna's lips. Yeah, because he's tasting the remnants which comes from Krishna. So he goes into ecstasy, quite an amazing ecstasy, and he has to control himself. So the answer is yes. The taste, although the taste we may get may not be, I guess, as Sulita said, it is always increasing. But definitely in a mature hearing about Krishna's pastimes, and it is the same. Yes. All right. So we did well on that one. Let's go here, 126. Should neophyte devotees be discouraged from trying to do more? One second. So that to fix their minds on the holy name. Now, this is very similar to a discussion we had on Harinam Chintamani. These questions here are exactly, if you remember that discussion, because we're on chapter 15 of Harinam Chintamani, which is about the bhajan, the confidential worship. So here, if you remember from that discussion, you may be able to explain here. Should neophyte devotees be discouraged from trying to do more than fix their minds on the holy name? In other words, here, should they fix their minds on Krishna's pastimes, etc.? I guess we've got to understand what neophyte is, but go on. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Say neophyte. Sometimes, from your previous lives, some devotees who are new, but they really climb up so quickly. So you got to judge them.
Yeah. So they're not new to Krishna consciousness, but they're new to the temple and the community.
Yeah. I was thinking of Bhuta Bhavana, like that kind of people who just come in and they jump up so high,
Yeah. So anybody else on this? So yeah, you just were speaking about the definition. Yeah.
I'm just thinking that, yeah.
So say someone, go on. Yeah.
Sorry, Muli Prabhu. It's no harm, is it, if the neophyte,
maybe
discourage?
It can be Suniti Priya if they're not advanced, they start meditating on different wrong things,
Yeah, so you understand that?
Yeah, I understand the question. I didn't understand. Yeah, I'm with you. Sorry. I
Yeah.
beg your pardon. Yeah.
No, it was interesting. Yeah, but Chandrawal is just qualifying it. So,
Yeah,
very much. Sorry, continue.
Sorry, I thought you said encourage, but it's not. It's discourage. It's my fault. Sorry.
So the answer basically is going to depend on the qualification of the individual.
Yeah.
Maharaj mentions at the stage of anishta bhakti, which means one is unsteady. Basically, one will not be able to remember Krishna more than for a few moments, split a few moments at a time. And even when they do, they're going to be interrupted by mundane images of the past, etc. You know, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. Maharaj mentioned, it doesn't mean it's wrong for these devotees to for such beginners to think of Krishna's pastimes, but it should be the appropriate pastimes. Yeah. So they're not going to, yeah, Krishna's incarnations, Krishna's Leela avatars, etc., which I think is also answered in another question, which I read today as well. Yeah, and then what? Rather than discourage beginners from thinking about Krishna, preachers should train them to raise their qualification for thinking and meditating upon Krishna's pastimes. But then he mentions that anyone who has second initiation, for example, by chanting your Gayatri mantras, you're being asked to meditate on the Guru, Lord Chaitanya, and Krishna. Yeah. The Karma, the Gopal mantras, that's actually quite an esoteric meditation, and you've been given those mantras, and those mantras are the idea is that we do meditate on Karmadev and Gopal and everything which that also means, that everything that goes along with it. So there's an instance there. So the Gayatri mantras, Maharaj mentions that if we can rise above chanting the Gayatri inattentively and just as a chore, something to get done with, but actually it's supposed to be a means of remembrance at least 3 times a day. Then he also brings up that pujaris will also, before engaging in their service, will enter into meditation upon the Guru. And also there's, as we do for Gaurnitai, you should meditate on Gauranga and Radha Krishna. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking, Guru, neophyte devotees, they should be discouraged from going into isolation to focus on the holy name. You know, some like, for instance, like there was somebody in Prabhupada's time who thought, I'm just going to live in this tree in Mayapur and chant 64 rounds.
Yeah, it did not work out for him. It did not work out. Yeah, very good. That's a very good point. Because chanting, in there was, how can I say, there's a bit of, if you're chanting together with many other Vaishnavas, then you can't it's harder to be distracted by things you might be distracted when you're chanting on your own. Yeah, because it wouldn't look very good. So you could say, in order to even to kind of paint a good picture, you're not going to be opening your laptop during japa, or you're not going to be, fixing yourself a crisp sandwich.
That for a long time, actually.
Or you're not going to, be emptying the nose, the things in the nose. You're going to be strict. You're going to be, you're going to be as strict as you can. So so that's good. Those of us, I think some of us, I'm a pujari, kind of, or half am, but so I've experienced that most times we chant on our own, and yourself and sing, and most of you probably chant on your own at home. So then it's a little bit, maybe not so easy, but you'll probably practice now. But definitely younger devotees, that we want to guide them to coming and chanting with more experienced chanters. It's a very good point that's been brought up. Yeah.
Can I ask you, Prabhu?
Yes, please. No, yeah.
Sorry, last Saturday I came to the temple and it was Guru Mahavishnu Swami's, and it was lecture by another very nice devotee. And one devotee was sitting near, not far from me, chanting japa, listen, not far from Guru, not far from me, between me and Guru, and listening to the lecture and chanting japa. And disturbance for everybody. I'm nobody. I couldn't give any notice or to say, Prabhu, please decide you are chanting or listening to the lecture.
Yeah, did you speak to them, or you just had to because
No,
you
I
don't know
didn't say
them?
anything. I'm nobody. I can't say anything
No,
to
you should
anybody.
have, Jambavati, you should have told him. You at
Him or
once
her?
you
It sounds like her on the ladies' side.
No, it was Prabhu. It was Prabhu.
Right? Yeah.
It was senior Prabhu. Actually, it was senior Prabhu. It was not young for his 15, 20 years in Krishna consciousness. And
Yeah.
for me, it was like, I
Yeah, so
don't know.
therefore, it's for you know you probably did the right thing by not saying anything. But for own personal practice, then generally you should not do that. I myself, when I give lectures and I see someone chanting it, I can't. Yeah, I actually don't like it, and I ask them to stop. You know, they do one thing or the other. You know,
Yeah,
depends.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I know. For example, my Guru Maharaj doesn't. Yeah, no, no one would ever dare do that in front of my Guru Maharaj. And you're doing one thing or the other. Although there is an example in our Vaishnav history of, I forget the name, but one very advanced Vaishnavi in Vrindavan, she had so much attachment to the holy name that she could not stop, even if she wanted to. It's such a deep, profound, magnetic attraction for Krishna and the holy name. So one devotee who was a devotee but fell away, he was given lectures on in Raj. She came, she was chanting, and he severely chastised her in public and made an issue of it and criticized her. He eventually fell down from devotional service. But that is an example not to follow. That's a very extreme example, but generally we should not, you shouldn't do that chant.
This devotee you're talking about, is she still there, or has she actually
Sorry?
left her body? The devotee you're talking about, is she still here, or has she
Oh,
left her
no,
body?
this is in Lord Chaitanya's time. This is a few hundred years
Oh,
ago.
I see. I beg, yeah. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
it's
Sorry, I
often
didn't- yeah.
given as example of the results of Vaishnava Aparad, but I forget the name of the devotee now. Forget. But yeah, you should not do that. And especially if there's a younger devotees doing it, then you might want to, if you have a relationship, or develop a relationship quickly with them and then explain to them, better you not do that. You know. Yeah.
I think the key is, Murli Prabhu, that if it's not in a relationship basis, perhaps then we shouldn't tell.
Yeah,
Unless
unless,
we have a relationship. Otherwise, I think it's better not to say.
yeah,
Krishna,
but,
in their own time, when they're ready, they will receive the message that they have to,
yeah. But if you're in a class, sometimes it's you want to help the speaker. So when I say you can develop, well, how are you? Have you been here before? Thank you for coming. You know, then develop a quick friendship with them, and then actually best if you don't chant at this time. You're just here. But again, you have to judge for yourself. Time,
Yeah.
place, and circumstance. You know.
Yeah.
Right. But so an extra question there was, what do you do if you see someone chanting Hare Krishna during a class? Don't hit them over the head.
If I'm sitting next to them, I would just tap gently and I'll just say, that's not to chant now.
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
listening.
Please.
That's it. Just 2-3 words, and I would say it in a really gentle way,
Yeah.
That's not to now, here for now. That's it.
I have had that, Prabhu. I've seen people chant. I just ignore. I choose to ignore. I just focus on the content, and
Yeah.
because I find that distracting. Once I start chastising, it sort of the whole class gets.
Yeah, you're right.
I've come to deliver my subject. Who's ready to take it will take it. Who's not, that's not. I just do my service and go.
Yeah, I've also done that as well. When someone given 6 o'clock class and someone's chanting, I thought, oh God, I just let them get on with it sometimes as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but at that time of the day, it's a different group of devotees there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
It's
those
not.
who are with you. So yes, of course, you ignore and that. But early in the morning, it's like
That's a different.
it's a different kind, different group of devotees.
Yeah.
So there should be quite. I mean, only last Saturday or Sunday, I was offering the morning AM Aarti, and there's this person standing right in front of the altar, like with the back to the deities.
Yeah,
And
that's back to the deities. Okay.
yeah, and I was standing, I was like offering, so I couldn't do anything. And I was thinking, as soon as I've finished, I am going to say that he's going to back to the. But then in the meantime, Rupanuga Prabhu told him to sit down.
Mm.
Yeah, I was offering Asri, so I couldn't really do anything. But because it's offense, it's deities there. You can't just stand there with the back, even if he's not happy with me, it doesn't matter.
Some people just don't know, so they just need, and sometimes they appreciate being told.
We just say nicely, we just sit down, deities are there, back to the deities, something, anything, just gently.
Murli Prabhu, what if when the kirtan is going on, Harinam kirtan is going on, and there's somebody sitting and chanting their beads while the kirtan is going on, just in the corner? What is that any different to giving a class and this thing? How is that?
Well,
like for example, you go into a kirtan mela, the whole day there's kirtan mela, but then they sit in the corner and they do their rounds.
Kirtan Mela is different. There's not much you can do. I mean, that's you should expect that. I mean, I know Kirtan Melas, they try to arrange things that doesn't happen. And they make announcements, but depends on the room where they're doing it. If it's just in one big room and there's no other facility, then that's good. You should expect that. But otherwise in a temple, then generally for someone who is doing that, then obviously it's a sign that they really don't know what they're doing. So I know Maharaj, Mahavishnu Swami Maharaj, it's impossible not to dance in his kirtans. He kind of goes around and he knocks everyone off on the wall with his accordion,
He asked Pujari as well this morning to chant while he was doing his offering.
Yeah, and that was me. He got me to sing. I
know, that's what I was saying.
So I think it's the same thing. You really sometimes these persons do not know that they're not aware that actually the chanting to engage in Sankirtan is going to be more beneficial for them than sitting there. I mean, how can they concentrate on their rounds as well? So again, you're going to have to judge by time, place, and circumstance. But generally, we should not do that. That's for sure.
I thought I would mention, which I saw. It's not about not knowing. I think sometimes, okay, I want to finish my 16 rounds before deity greeting. Oh, I'm just running behind now. And deity greeting is happening. Still, it's okay. I'm continuing. I'm chanting. And the background is Govindama, the Purushantama. But I'm chanting. It's not about, it's about getting our rounds done.
Yeah, that's another situation. That's another circumstance where one's got like half a round to do and it's just coming to deity greetings. So, okay. But I think Sudami Radhika's speaking of where someone is like sitting down during a kirtan for half an hour, chanting japa. Then,
again, it could be the motive that they have to finish their 16 rounds and come into the temple. They want to finish their rounds and kirtan is going on. But you know what? I'm just going to do my rounds because I have to finish the 16,
Yeah. But I heard, Prabhu, in, I think Sachinandana Maharaj or somebody, because we are connecting to holy name, that is not, you can't take this as something wrong, not etiquette. Because holy name, we get the support of the holy name to chant also. Sometimes some devotees can even chant with a like mild kirtan. It supports you're not getting distracted.
anyway, I remember one time I was leading the kirtan one time and there was one boy, he was sitting in front, about 6 feet in front of Prabhupada, and he was chanting japa, and it was quite an enthusiastic kirtan. So the whole kirtan, I just took the whole kirtan and we circled around him, dancing around him. He was chanting his japa. And he got the idea, he stood up. But Yeah. All right. So you have to judge for yourselves there. It's not wrong, at least they're chanting Hare Krishna, but at least we should be in the habit of not doing that type of thing. You know, go downstairs to the restaurant, or if you want to finish your rounds, don't do it in the kirtan. Yeah. All right. So lots of extra questions coming today. That's very good. Hare Krishna. So how do we get there? About the holy name. Yeah. Okay. It was this question, wasn't it? 126 that we just tackled and answered. All right. So 127. Why would transcendental scriptures try to motivate its readers to remember Krishna by offering them material benefits? That's called false stuti. You're going to see that even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Dhamma Pachittak Pataiva Paramo, which kicks out all religious principles which are materially motivated. Even in the Bhagavatam, at the end of particular pastimes, it's described, he who reads these pastimes in a dark moon night will obtain the wealth of the heavenly kingdom, etc., will be free from all material miseries. So sometimes that's there. For Kartik, for instance, there's so many material benefits to be had from offering a lamp, etc.
Even Ekadashi.
Ekadashi, yeah. So I mean, where we preach about Anyabhilas to the Sunyam, so we're trying to learn to do our devotional activities, not for thoughts of what we're going to get back, but scriptures directly give material benefits. So any answers to that? Why is that done?
I think it's a teaser. At least they come in with that, and then eventually, I could say that with mine, I was probably coming because I was disgusted with the material nature or having some difficulty, and that was a teaser for me to at least get started somewhere. And then over due course of time, you develop a taste, and then you realize Anya Vilashita Shunyam, you know. Most of us come because of some either curious or material benefit or relief from some material distress.
Yeah, that's correct. And I really like the word you used. It's a teaser. That's exactly what it is. Very nicely described. Yeah. So basically, whatever the motivation is, devotees will get benefit by thinking of Krishna. Yeah. That's why there's that verse of Kamat, Dveshat, Bhuyat, Shnehat. Lust, anger, greed, envy. In whatever way one thinks of Krishna, then there will be benefit. Yeah. So these persons will get purified, even if their approach is not pure. They're hearing these pastimes or they're taking part in the pravachan in order to get some material benefit. By doing that and association devotees, they will get purified. So in whatever way one comes in contact. So sometimes scriptures will entice materialistic persons, for instance, like to take part in Kartik, and give these different enticements, teasers to like bring them in.
I think for me, the same was they told me at the beginning when I started, 4 regulative principles and chant 16 round, that's it. You don't have to come back to next lifetime. Finished, everything's over. I thought that's a good deal. I don't mind. I'll sign into that. And that's how I signed in, to be honest. But now I know nowhere. God knows how many lifetimes. But now it's too late. I know too much. I can't go back now, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like a mafia. You know too much. You get shot and you go back there and you get, so it's better to remain in the mafia.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. So we know too much. Yeah. So yeah, I just lost my train of thought. Yes. So yeah. Somehow or another we should hear about Krishna. Yeah, correct. So that's why it's there. So 128. While chanting the maha-mantra, should devotees think of Krishna's form and pastimes, or should they simply hear the sound of the holy name? So the similar question we had before. So this we did discuss directly.
Last week, didn't we? Remember,
Yeah, that was with the Harinam Chintamani.
Mm.
So there was instructions there that we should, basically, to get to the essence of it.
So is it simply, I missed that. Is it simply hearing the sound of the holy name? Is that the answer?
No.
No. So
The
the
answer
question is,
depends on your level of advancement. For beginners, it's listening, and for advanced, you should focus on the form of the Lord. That's what I understood last time.
Yeah, that's correct. And that's what we discussed last week. So, because often it's understood or misunderstood that we should just hear the holy name. But there's a very nice letter that Prabhupada, and I'll put it on the slide, Prabhupada writes this letter to this specific question. And he writes here, I can read this. This is from 1968. So this is very early on in the movement. So they've asked Prabhupada this question. Regarding your first question, is it offensive to think of Krishna's pastimes while chanting? So is it an offense? I think you should know that it is not offensive, but rather it is required. One must try for the point when he simply hears Krishna and immediately all of Krishna, his pastimes, his form, and his qualities are in his thoughts. So just to stop there, that's what we discussed last week, where there's a practice where the mantra and Krishna's form becomes one. You're meditating on both. The mantra, when it's chanted steadily and nicely, then you're meditating also on Krishna's pastimes. So the two separate things at some point become one. So whenever you chant Krishna's name, you're automatically thinking of his form and qualities and pastime. But that's a practice it's practice to actually do that. So, and Prabhupada continues, when we are full in Krishna, then where can there be any chance for Maya in us? So this is our duty, to remember Krishna's pastimes. One who cannot remember Krishna, then now Prabhupada speaks about the general answer to this. One who cannot remember Krishna, let him always hear Krishna. So this is just hearing without meditating on the pastimes. And when he has perfected this art, then he will remember Krishna, his activities, his qualities, and so on. So that's an answer to that question. This was in 1968. So when did Prabhupada begin ISKCON? Which year did he incorporate ISKCON?
1968?
1968, was it? So this is
67.
67. So Prabhupada here is explaining very, very nicely in this reply to this question.
Yeah, very nicely. I was just going to say that, Murli Prabhu.
Yeah.
And it's nice you put this back on the screen, that for us to remember this again when we're chanting. Really nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is 1968. This is a letter to Shivananda. Yeah. All right, let's go to 129. Ready for another question? Yes.
Yeah.
Besides attentive hearing, do other practices assist devotees in meditating on the Lord's name? What else can we do to help us to meditate upon the maha-mantra? Apart from chanting.
Is this while chanting, or this is
No,
apart?
This is apart from. Is there other things that we can do?
Okay, I think service. I find that when I do some sort of devotional service in the temple, next day chanting quality is better.
Yeah, very good. I'm sure others have that experience as well. I have the experience that if I want to chant good japa, definitely if I go on Harinam or go on book distribution, my japa is going to be a bit more sweeter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly the same experience.
Yeah, I have that experience. So that's one very good way. And Maharaj, in answering this, hasn't mentioned that, surprisingly. But yes, that's definitely a way to engage, to actually do what the mantra, because the qualification of the mantra is you're asking for service, isn't it? So
And corollary to that, if I have sort of gossiped about somebody, or if I've had an nasty kind of talk with somebody, next day chanting is bad. It just
Yes.
automatically that, and then I sometimes think when I have to say something, it comes really till my tongue, and I'll say, "Is this person worth my chanting tomorrow? It's better I keep quiet. At least I'll have a peaceful chanting tomorrow." So I keep quiet most of the situations so that I can have a better chanting experience.
Yeah, very good. Nice. Very nice. You bring up the point how there that we could say, isn't it, that chanting refines our behavior or refines our sadachar, because from experience, we know if we don't maintain sweet, nice relationships with devotees or even non-devotees, then it's going to be harder for us to chant the holy name. So isn't it nice how the holy name itself, that vow to chant, helps us to more refine and be aware of our interactions throughout the day. Yeah, there's verses actually that describe that one who worships Krishna, but they're blasphemous of devotees, then it's like offering hot ashes on the body of the Lord. That's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. The one who is offending his devotees, then their worship is painful to Krishna in one sense. It is not accepted. That's extreme, I guess, but yes. But he gives other things that Maharaj gives here is praying for remembrance. And I didn't include it. It's actually not included, but there's one of the Raghunath Das Goswami gives, he translates the maha-mantra, each Hari and each Krishna, as a prayer to be allowed to give him permission. For example, please let me think of your pastimes, and please, having remembered your pastimes, please let my mind stay within those pastimes. So prayer, nothing as good as old-fashioned prayer, vandanam, putting our palms together, or looking within our heart and praying to remember the meaning of the mantra. Yeah, so it says that praying for remembrance, remembering the meaning of the mantra, that can help, that can assist us to remember what the mantra means, and also try and remember the mood of devotion, the mood of also chanting. We mentioned is good to cultivate the mood of vripalamba, separation, and the mood of begging, the beggar. Bhakti Maharaj wrote those books, The Beggar. So then Maharaj he discusses each of these, but we won't go over them. Then in this chapter where this question is taken from, he elaborates more. But there's some other methods for you. One is an extra one that was mentioned. Excuse me. Doing service, then praying. Remind ourselves of the meaning and also the mood which is needed, and begging also for further adhikar. Yeah, these can all help us to meditate upon the holy name. Anything else on that? All right, so 130. Won't advanced devotees be bored by always speaking and hearing topics suitable for beginners?
That's an interesting question.
Yes. Some of you might sit in class, and I know Mahavishnu Swami does that. Then he asks if there's anyone new. And if one person puts their hand up, the whole class will be like A, B, C's. Basics will go in presentation for this new person. And that's a general etiquette you do. If you're given class, you're going to preach the lowest denominator. But having said that, here's the question that comes up.
I find that when Maharaja Swamis, particularly when they speak, I don't know, they have this natural art of including basics. They cover all the basics, which is applicable to everybody. And then when it comes to questions, then they go into the detail of the subject. But they will keep it very much on the surface with stories, basics, and they cover the whole audience. I don't know if you were there. 2 weeks ago, Vamsi Dhari Prabhu gave a class on the whole cosmic creation. And I found it particularly very interesting. I was like, wow, he gave so much detail and he has done so much research, so much to learn. But then somebody who was sitting next to me found it too technical and they lost him, is what they were saying. And I was just reflecting on that. And I think how Maharajas, when they give a class, they do it so nicely that they cover the basics and they also give some information which is that you don't know, which you've never have heard before.
Yeah, so you're saying, so you're saying that a more kind of practiced, or more, could say empowered, practiced, or devotee, they're able to make it not boring for everyone. There's something for everyone.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, yeah?
Exactly. And also I find that sometimes, like, I've had a question or something personal in my life that I want to know, and I sit for a class and the Maharaj just looks at my eyes and as though I've got the answer through him. Like he's said something and I'm like, wow, that's exactly what I wanted to know. And here's the answer. It's amazing how they do that.
Yeah. Also, Srila Prabhupada himself, you know, not just Prabhupada in his classes, but his books as well. There's something for everyone.
Yeah.
But here, the question again, well, these are all things are very correct. But basically, I didn't paste. I mean, I copied the question, but I didn't paste it here. But I remember it. Maharaj says, the truth is that advanced devotees relish everything about Krishna. Whether it's Dehinosmin yata dehi kumaram yovaram jadaha, you know, we are not this body, or it's about Vanashram, or it's about creation. For example, Sukadev Maharaj Parikshit, you know, Sukadev Goswami's got 7 days to live. And Sukadev Goswami spends quite some time speaking about creation from the atom. But because it's all in relationship to Krishna, it's all relishable for the advanced devotee. Yeah. So truly speaking, it says here, an advanced devotee will not get bored in Srimad Bhagavatam class, even if it's a basic presentation. Yeah.
So I think what you Prabhu as well is Krishna Katha. You just
it's Krishna Katha.
Yeah, and you just enjoy it so much. It doesn't really matter what it is.
Now, we have to say it does, if you're very advanced, then it's not really going to matter who's presenting. I know I've been asked this question, but sometimes you got a devotee may not be so used to or may not be so practiced at presenting the philosophy, and it may be hard to follow. Or they may not be very charismatic in their presentation. You know, they're just kind of basically reading in one sense. So sometimes that's questionable, maybe harder, but to pay attention. But an advanced devotee will always, you know, relish and appreciate any Krishna Katha. I think Maharaj brings up here, just scroll down. He brings up how Maharaj, Sukadev Goswami, when he was speaking to Maharaj Parikshit, he could see that some persons were doubting about the subject. So he changed the subject matter, but I think that's in relation to another question, excuse me. But anyway, did we answer this question? Is this clear for everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, again, a true and advanced devotee truly will not get bored, because this discussion is brought up and this question is being asked because in the past, ISKCON was criticized by other Gaudiya mats for just presenting, you're not this body. And they was so-called, in their so-called mat is teaching much higher things. if you come to us, then you're not just going to hear the same old boring thing. You're going to hear about Ras Leela. I think you get the picture. So actually, advanced devotees relish Bhagavad Gita, they relish Ishopanishad, So this is a misconception. Yeah. So this question is addressing that misconception. Yeah. Oh, when you don't get bored, why don't you come to our mat? Why don't you come and hear some, Gopi Bhava?
And we do less rounds as well, 4, 5. That's so you don't have to do 16.
Yeah, you can chant 4 rounds instead, like that. Yeah.
Also, Prabhu, it depends on the speaker as well. I know I'm done from my side. I'm not on the point of an advance. So it depends. When the speaker says it very sweetly and is relishing it, and there's so much of thing, you also find it sweet and relishable, and you also want to hear because they are enjoying what they're saying so much.
Yeah, that's very good. But the third verse of Bhagavatam brings that up, that Sukadeva Goswami, even, Srila Vyasa, I mean, I've all heard Bhagavatam before, but now Sukadeva Goswami is speaking it, and it's much more relishable. Although it was relishable before, now Sukadeva is speaking it, and it's become even more relishable. Yeah, that's a fact. A devotee is tasting the sweetness of the guitar, their nose or hearing will also taste it. Yeah. We think like if you hear Radhanath Swami Maharaj speak on Ram Leela, it's definitely very absorbing the way he dramatically and wonderfully tells all the details and unfolds the story. So yeah, that makes it does, we have to say that it does make a difference when you got an advanced realized devotee speaking. Then it is very attractive and it's very powerful. But still, advanced devotees will be able to relish Krishna guitar wherever it might come and in whatever way it might come. So quite advanced devotees, we could say. All right. So text question 131. If steady devotees do not receive formal training suitable to their needs, how will they continue to advance? So this is a question. Yeah, so this question is really in regards to those devotees who are coming to a more advanced practice of sadhana, and they may be attracted to more topics of spontaneous devotion, raganuga, for example. So this is a stage of, let's go back a stage here. It's at Nishta. So these devotees at the level of Nishta, they have the qualification for a different type of sadhana, which is like here in Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes. So the question then arises, if steady devotees, so if the lectures are always general lectures that you hear in a temple, are not going to speak about subjects of here that steady devotees might need. Yeah. So the question is here, if steady devotees do not receive formal training suitable to their needs, how will they continue to advance? So sometimes I think these questions have been brought up here as well. So, for example, you're back to truth, Swami Maharaj has gone back to the spiritual world. So you may be missing that training or that guidance that you had before. So how can we continue to advance? Or your spiritual master may visit England once a year for 3 days. So how are we going to continue to advance?
Look for some other Siksha Guru who can guide.
Look, that's one answer. Look for
association with devotees.
Association with devotees. Yes.
we can always approach our guru, and we all got chance to go and see him for as long as we wanted, and all the list of questions we had were answered.
If your guru is still on the planet, yes, but,
No, but
it may not. Interesting. I mean, these answers are definitely very good. We can pray and look and want to hear from advanced devotees, attend the classes. Maharaj speaks here, he speaks in another direction. He brings up the point that if one is sincere, if we're just sincere to obtain perfection, then Krishna's going to this verse, yogi anantas chintayanto mam ye janapayapasate tesam nityapayuktamam yogikshami vahameham, chapter 9, that Krishna will carry what we lack and preserve what we have. Krishna will make arrangements for us. If we come to a specific level of greed and desire to advance, Krishna is going to carry what we lack, preserve what we have. So in other words, everyone can rest assured that we will get everything we need to cultivate our devotional creeper. Krishna is going to make sure of that. It may be done, for instance, Maharaj mentions here, he does mention what you correctly brought up, in addition to Srimad Bhagavatam class, devotees can be, he quotes here that he quotes Prabhupada, Atmano Guru Atmaiva, through their purity and realization, devotees can be their own guides. Interesting, isn't it? Sometimes one acts as one's own instructing spiritual master. Yeah. So that obviously, sorry?
It's called Chitya Guru.
Chaitya Guru, yeah, Chaitya Guru. So that obviously is going to be quite will take place at an advanced, quite an advanced level of purity, but still it's there. One can act as one's own guide. So that's not going to be done in the early stages of Krishna consciousness. We're not, we might come to the wrong conclusions. But I think this was quite encouraging, Maharaj, how he answered this, that no need to be worried. If we're sincere and we want to advance, then Krishna will help us to make sure what we have and when we need it.
Yeah, it is a lovely answer, because I mean, like I would say in my example, as Bhakti Churu Maharaj is not here and you are lost, but in same time, you sort of pray as your Guru Maharaj is explaining very sincerely, and the things will happen according to when it's right time.
Yeah. So Krishna,
Very helpful.
This is a very nice verse, this one. It's one of my favorite verses. Anantas Chintayanto Mam. It's the 9th chapter. It was confidential knowledge, 922. Right. We're doing quite well today. I thought we were only, what's the time?
I have.
Please.
Where it says, do not receive formal training suitable to their needs. So there is some customization here in the training, suitable to their needs. So what may be applicable for me in terms of an advice may not be applicable to somebody else, because their conditioning is different, their nature is different, their approach is different. So there's customization here to say that do not suitable to their needs. That means for a specific person where they are in their thing, that they need to be guided, or one rule will not work, or one Bhagavatam quote, or one, you see what I'm saying? Because their conditioning is different. So I'm thinking that in this case, that there is somebody that you need, like a mentor or somebody that you can connect to, and they kind of understand you and sort of wean you out of whatever that is required. Because it's formal training, but it says suitable to their needs.
Yeah, and that's definitely should be in place if one is not at the acquired level of purity to take instruction directly from Chaitya Guru. But you bring up a very important point, and there's two.
Because sometimes you can't see your own issues, although you're so full of it that you can't even see what is going through.
Yes, that's definitely correct. Yeah, so so therefore there should be a sangha of devotees, and yeah, there should be. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. If steady devotees do not receive formal training suitable to their needs, so there has to be. This is also in regards to the type of hearing and chanting that one may do. So that's why the process of guru and disciple is a very personal one.
Yeah.
Something we cover in the disciple course. It's very personal. According to one's conditioning, according to one's particular bent of mind, and particular type of instructions may be suitable. And Prabhupada himself gave different instructions to different devotees. Even sannyasis, sometimes he would tell one of them to preach all over the world. Another one he would say, you should stay here and manage the temple. But yeah, that's correct. Yes. So not one, what's it called? Not one shoe fits all.
Yeah. And do we need that customized training, I think, which is, because everybody's on money.
Yeah, there's going to be general instructions.
Yeah.
And there's going to be instructions that are specific to yourself. Because it depends on, some are married, some are not married, some are in a temple, some are outside the temple, some are ladies, some are men, etc., etc. So many different circumstances. But the overall instructions remain: chant Hare Krishna, follow the principles, and then that's for everyone. But there will be individual. Yeah, and that's the role of Shiksha and Diksha Gurus. So good to have as many of Shiksha Gurus as possible.
Yeah.
And then we have 2 minutes. Let's see if we can finish this question. What is systematic worship of Krishna? This word has been often used in Sudha Bhakti Chintamani. What is it exactly? Systematic worship of Krishna.
Is it deity worship?
Well, that's definitely systematic, yeah, but it's not exactly what the context here.
I'm just going to make a guess. I don't know. But is this something like Prabhupada has given us a process, something that works? It's systematically, trial and tested, and we know that it works. So we just follow the process which the Guru has given. So systematic approach to a process that's already been laid down.
Yes, you should be giving this, you should give class on this subject. It's correct. It says here, let me just read this. Because chanting Krishna's holy name is a method of service prescribed in this age, worship actually means to chant the Hare Krishna maha-mantra with pure faith and love while being absorbed in force of Krishna. Then Raj says more or less exactly what you just said. When the techniques used in this chanting, so he relates to chanting specifically, are mature and follow the path chalked out by the previous acharyas. So this is systematic worship of the name. Such chanting is systematic worship of the Lord. Yeah? So you're following the path of the acharyas. So this is systematic worship. I'm just reading here. This means that both devotees in bondage and those in a liberated state can do systematic worship. Yeah. All right. So yeah, it's the process we're following. And let's just squeeze this one in as well, because then it'll be at the end of the slide. Who should hear Gopi Leela?
Krishna is answering you.
Krishna is answering you. Any questions? Any answers? Who should hear Gopi Leela? There's a specific stage that Maharaj is, the stages from Shraddha, Anad Bhajan, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Anathanavritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Shakti, Bhava, Prema. There's a specific stage that is best for one to be situated in before one does a specific focused hearing of Gopi Leela.
Is it Prabhu strong ruchi?
Yes, you must have looked at the book. It says a strong taste.
I did. I was reading it. I was reading it, yeah.
Well done. Yeah, you got it right. You managed to read the right section. Yeah.
I got a mark today by cheating.
Yes. So this is strong, like a strong taste. So ruchi. So in other words, their faith is deep. They got mature knowledge, and they're at the stage of Uttam Adhikari. They have highest qualification. Yeah. Now, there's a verse, you may have heard of it. Prakrid vitam vajavabate tam de Vishno shadanvato nushta. It's a verse that's often quoted when devotees speak about hearing Krishna Katha. So this verse is anyone who faithfully hears about the playful affairs of the young gopis with Krishna will quickly become sober, hritrogam, and expel lust, the disease of the heart. So what this verse implies, that if you have lust, if you're not perfect, you can still hear Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, and that's going to purify you. But the verse, there's one word in this verse, which is shradanvito. So that level of shraddha that's needed actually is you should be at the stage of ruchi. You should be beyond nista and ruchi to systematically hear about the gopis. Yeah. Shradanvito. Right. Okay. We did a lot of questions. It's a good job. I put extra time today in putting up questions. And I thought, yeah, I've got so many questions here. We're going to easy, but no, you answered all the questions. I've only got 2 questions left. I've got 3 here. I've got to type some more in next week. Okay, so well done. Thank you, everyone. Hope this was of great interest hearing it, and we'll stop there for today. And tomorrow we have Harinam Chintamani, the bhajan of confidential worship. So please join us if you have the time. It would be great if you can be with us. Okay. Hare Krishna. Kripa Sindhu Behavicha. Hare Krishna.
What time is class tomorrow? 5 or 6?
Actually, the class will be at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I've changed my schedule, so it's at 6 o'clock. Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.